It's all good. We live though now, so we good, man. We live. Let me see people coming in. People ain't dropping. You know what? Let me drop the song real quick, man, while people coming in, man. As long as I'm dancing, acting or rapping, walking around like I don't know what's happening. You like me, you like me, you like me. If I'm talking about drinking and nothing about thinking, as long as I'm high and I never ask why, you like me, you like me, you like me, you like me. But the second I start with the state of the economy, black leadership, black cards, and black sovereignty, that's when you can't seem to follow me. Confusion, you feel like you're losing. I'm no longer amusing. This song's about choosing while you cruising. Either black entertainment or the black revolution. People love to see a young black man rap until he wakes up and realizes he's caught in the trap. So as long as I'm dancing, acting or rapping, walking around like I don't know what's happening, you like me, you like me, you like me. Hey, if I'm talking about drinking and nothing about thinking, as long as I'm high and I never ask why, you like me, you like me, you like me. But the minute I get in about the way these rappers spit it, the minute I start spitting that truth, it comes a critic. I freestyle off the top like removing your Yankee fitted, but they not really checking for skills, they want the gimmick. Many of the challenges we face, we can solve them, but there's no trust, no unity, and that's the problem. Black people fighting amongst themselves, that's the problem. White people fighting amongst themselves, that's the problem. U.S. foreign policy is simply just bomb them. Rebels against their own government, the U.S. arms them. Then when things get out of hand, yeah, they try to calm them. More money, more diplomacy, just charm them. If that doesn't work, then they move to Osama. Turn them into a terrorist so they can disarm them. Through the corporate media, we don't stand a chance, but too many people want us to just stand and dance. So as long as I'm dancing, acting or rapping, walking around like I don't know what's happening, you like me, you like me, you like me. If I'm talking about drinking, it's not about thinking. As long as I'm high and I never ask why, you like me, you like me, you like me. You like me, you like me. Peace, 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 peace. This is your Chan Bill, and this is your boy the Tantra. This one joined by the brother Jaguar Omek, and soon to be joined by the brother AP Power. And this is the Encyclopedia of the American Aborigines contribution, 15,000 years of innovations and inventions. All right, this is part 4, Quanto. All right, so with that, right into it, man. And like I said, man, this video is brought to you by Culture Freedom, Hating Culture America, and also the Chan Gear. The links will be in the description, man, if you would like to support your brother for donations, or if you would like to cop some indigenous clothing. So with that being said, we're going to be starting on H. All right. I'm going to start right here with the hair conditioner, all right? So we got hacky sack, all right? So y'all know what a hacky sack is. A hacky sack is a bean ball we already touched. So can you see my screen?
Oh yeah, you good. You good.
All right. So I'm gonna touch on this first one, and then you can go right to the next one, all right? So we got hair conditioner. This is pre-contact, Mesoamerican, North American Great Plains, Plateau, Northeast, California, and Southwest cultures. The hair conditioner is a treatment placed on the hair after it been washed. Pre-Columbian Indians use hair conditioners for the same reasons people use them today, to add shine to the hair, make it more manageable, and relieve dryness. And so they also use Botanica hair conditioners to relieve scalp itch and and danger treatment. All right, so we see that, right? So it says that the Aztec who empire was established in about 1100 AD in so-called Old Mexico. They say in part of Mesoamerican used berries of the yimali. They say to make a conditioner. They say they also use sunflowers. All right. Um, they say boiling them to extract the oil. This was then used as a rinse, much like modern hair oil treatment. All right. So we got hair nets, see knitting, but you know a hairnet was something like a bonnet. If you see when they be showing you the so-called Hebrews or the Israelites, notice that they wore bonnets. So them bonnets that they wore was like what they call hairnets, right? Well, we see we got hammocks, all right, pre-contact. Caribbean, South American, tropical forest cultures. The hammock is a swinging cot, usually suspended between two trees or poles. It was used by the indigenous people in the Caribbean when Columbus first arrived there. He was so impressed by the comfortable, cool, and clean way the sleeping that he wrote about in his journals. All right, so. Go down. You want to touch on harpoons?
Yeah, I can
Jack.
do that.
All right, go ahead. I'm just mute my mic. What?
All right, y'all. We got harpoons, pre-contact, North American Arctic, and Northwest Coast cultures. A harpoon is a spear-like weapon that is used to hunt whales, seals, and walrus. Indigenous Americans from Alaska to Greenland hunted with sophisticated harpoon points that detached from the shaft while remaining fastened to a hand-held line. The shafts were made in sections that connected with a flexible joint, preventing them from breaking. This was an important consideration given the scarcity of wood in the Arctic. Although people from other parts of the world used harpoons, theirs did not have detachable points. The Inuit of what is now West Greenland called harpoon hunting maupak, which means waiting, because it required extensive knowledge of the habits of sea mammals as well as the ability to predict and imitate their behavior. Aware that seals would use their claws to scratch breathing holes in sea ice and revisit those holes often, a hunter would wait by one of these holes. When the seal came up to breathe, the hunter would harpoon it, let it thrash, and then pull it to the surface and kill it with a blow from his fist. To lure the seals closer, a hunter would sometimes place in an ice pick into the ice and whistle along the shaft to imitate the sounds of the seal makes. Or he would drag an ice pick or special scratcher along the ice to arouse the seal's curiosity. It says sees also calls animal and bird. All right. The Inuit also use harpoons for peat sealing. This began by chopping a large hole in the winter ice. Hunters then chopped a smaller hole nearby and inserted a long shafted harpoon into it. One man stood ready to thrust the harpoon while another stretched out on the bench and covered his head so he would see beneath the water. When he viewed a seal swimming towards the smaller hole, he would signal the man with the harpoon to spirit. Even hunting seals on land with harpoons, let me go up, require great patience. Cautious animals, seals only sleep about a minute at a time. The hunter would wait silently, and when the seal slept, he would move closer until he was finally in thrusting range. When the men hunted seals from boats, they attached seal bladder or seal skin floats to harpoon lines. The bladder marked the spot where the seal had been speared. It also exhausted the injured animal by providing resistance as it thrashed in the water. When the seal had given up the fight, hunters dealt the death blow and then used the harpoon line to tow it ashore. To make the latter task easier, they blew air into the animal's nostrils to inflate the lungs so that it would float better. Hunters used a number of harpoons for whale hunting. It says see also whaling. They attached several sealskin floats to each line so that the huge sea mammal would encounter more resistance in its efforts to flee and would tire more quickly. The whale hunters also tied floats to their boats so that they would not capsize. The Makai and Nuka people of the northwest coast also hunted whales with detachable pointed harpoons and floats. And they got a picture up here, man. That's the detachable joint. Different styles, I guess, showing you how it detach. Say detachable harpoon points, such as the picture above, enable hunters of the North American, Arctic, and Northwest coast to spear whales and seals efficiently. The design is unique to American Indians, which is known as Aboriginals. So, you want to do the next one, bro, or want to keep going?
Yeah, I'm just eating this salad real quick, man. I mean, if you
Yeah,
can
I go
just
ahead and go. You want
all
me to do
right,
the
go ahead.
headache?
Bro, you can do. I mean, you can go all the way down. I'm right here with you. So I mean, whenever you get stop, well, let me see. Let me see something. From your homostat. All right, yeah. I mean, go on, go do that right there. I'm right here, man. So I ain't going nowhere.
All right.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Headache. You want to do the headache medicine or this one?
Yeah, I touch on the headache.
Okay.
All right. Headache. Knowledge of etiology. Calculated AD 1100 Mesoamerican cultures. Aztec physicians knew that many headaches were caused by an excess of blood in the arteries in the brain or on the surface of the head long before European doctors understood this. The Aztec Empire was established in about AD 1100 in Mesoamerica. Aztec physicians became expert at cranial anatomy and physiology as a result of warfare and the taking of prisoners. Many of the prisoners of war whom the Aztec captured to replenish their pool of slaves had suffered from head injuries. In order to restore the prisoner to health, the ancient Aztec physicians learned a great deal over the years about cranial anatomy and physiology, enabling them to perform brain surgery or trephination. Their belief that excess blood in the head was a cause of headaches is supported by modern medicine. Aztec physicians advised their headache patients to rest and to avoid steam baths. They see also steam room, as well as the sun, since he is a vasodilator. That is, it would dilate the blood vessels and only make the headache worse. So you see um, anatomical knowledge. All right. I think that was it on that one. So I go ahead and touch on headache medications. And this is pre-contact North American Southwest cultures. Headache medications. Okay. A headache or a pain in the head may be caused by a number of reasons. One common reason for headaches is the dilation of the blood vessels, either in the brain or on the surface of the head. Migraine headaches are arterial in nature. Before contact with Europeans, the Zuni, who live in what is now New Mexico, routinely used a vasoconstrictor to shrink the diameter of the arteries and relieve vascular headaches. Modern physicians prescribe similar medications called vasoconstrictors for vascular headaches. The Zuni used smut, a fungus that thrives on corn, as a vasoconstrictor. After gathering it, they boiled the corn smut in water and drank the tea. The therapeutic value of the fungus for headaches is a substance called eustiologine. Scientists have found that eustiologine is an alkaloid and a very effective vasoconstrictor, efficiently and significantly reducing the amount of blood in the cranium and scalp. This eliminates the throbbing pain accompanying many headaches. And you see also pharmacology. So pre-contact headache medicines, like every other medicine we pretty much had. Touch on, touch on this helmet sports right quick. All right, helmets for sports, calculated 300 BC Mesoamerican cultures. Helmets are head coverings designed to protect the wearer against injury. The people of Mesoamerica wore helmets when they played an ancient version of basketball. The Olmec, whose civilization arose in Mesoamerica in about 1700 BC, invented this game. Players wore helmets in addition to protective padding that included gloves, a broad waist belt, knee and hip pads, and special footwear. The sports helmet and protective garb were made from wickerwork or leather. From statues of Mesoamerican ball players and depictions of them on pottery, it appears that these sports helmets resemble the leather football helmets worn by players during the early 20th century. They are an example of one of the first sports helmets used in history. That's major.
And y'all heard that, right? Basketball started in the Americas, man. And we already touched on that when we went up there, but you guys didn't know about the helmets, right? But it tells you, man, ain't nothing new up under the sun. These devils ain't creating nothing. Nothing. They ain't creating nothing. Everything is your shit. You understand? They didn't market it. They didn't market it. They found economics. I mean, found a way to put it into the economical society, market it, and now they got you. You forgot that you wore shit like that. You forgot that you was dunking basketballs or dunking rubber balls before they even got here. So, you know, like I said, man, you know, definitely shout out to his brother, man, for bringing this encyclopedia to us. Damn, I'm definitely grateful for this, man, because this right here, these are sources, man. You see the sources right here? See the sources for that? So let's move on. I'm gonna touch on hemp. So we got hemp, America, 1600 AD, North American, Northeast culture. That's us, North American, Northeast culture. American hemp is a plant that is indigenous to the eastern part of North America. Terra Nova, the American hemp plant, was a source of fiber that Aboriginals used to make ropes, quilts. Now, quilts. Who remember the mothers used to make them patch quilts? Do anybody remember that? Their mothers used to make them, or their grandmothers used to make the patch quilts They used to have a bunch of different patches in them and shit. And they used to
Yeah.
be quotes. You know what I'm saying? Strings and twines. The plant is not related to the marijuana plant, which American Aborigines did not utilize. The indigenous Americans used the sap of the hemp plant as a chewing gum. Hold up. So you mean tell me Wrigley's, fucking Trident, all these gum factories, they got that off of your ass too, right? Listen, there would be no fucking United States or no American if it wasn't for the American Aborigine. If it wasn't for the car, even the littlest things that we can think of was created here by us. And all they did was just create a system to market it. You understand? Remember the first system that they marketed was you. The AKA the Slavs, AKA the POWs, all right? So chewing gum. It's saying chewable, look, it say dentifrice, dentine, dentifrice. It say the Iroquois used it to stop internal bleeding. See, homostat. It say, wow, Fambruas, Chippewa, it say use it as a kidney medicine for pregnant women. The Pinot Boscot use American hemp for intestinal worms. At one time, the American hemp was referred to as worm route. See, I can't pronounce that. They say when taken internally, American hemp contains a chemical that displays some cardiotonic properties as digital is. They say it affects the contractions of the heart and regulates the rhythm as well. It say and this was one of the primary reasons American Indians used American hemp. The Potawatomi use American hemp as a cardiac medicine. It say and a kidney medicine. All right. Oh man, we've been doing this, man. All this shit that they got from us. All right. So homostyle devices or medicines that stems from the flow of either internal or external bleeding. American Indians developed a number of homostat that were very efficient even by today's standards. Some of the first homostat used in the pre-contact America were used by the Aztec and Mesoamerican. Their systems of medicine was comprehensive, resembling the field of medicine in America today. Resembling? Why would it be resembling when we created it? Their medicine resembled the shit we did. And all they do, just like right now, all of these pharmaceutical companies, all they do is go send their cronies out there to sit with the shamans, and then once they find out what plant or what herb they derive it from, what they do is make a synthetic form of it. So you gotta know, man. You gotta really understand, like, everything was taken from us, man. Everything, bro. Even your nationality, even the fact that you are Indian. You don't even know that. You think you're African, and then you got other fucking people who taking these fake ass DNA tests, standing on that shit, man. I ain't gonna go all the way in on it, but we can go to the next one. Hickory. You know what hickory is? A wood used for smoking. Say hickory is I can't pronounce that. It's a hardwood indigenous to the North American East Coast and Midwest. Many North American Aboriginal tribes ate hickory nuts. The name hickory came into the English language in 1618 from the Powachakara, the Algonquin word for a food made of pounding nuts and water. These nuts were also a large part of the diet of many Southeast tribes. Some Indians living in that area cultivated the tree. The Creek Muskegee grew 11 varieties. 11 varieties. All right. So you guys already know. We got hygiene, hickory field. Hockey fields and ice. All right. Let me touch a little bit on this, man. All right. So we got hockey fields and ice. All right. North American Great Plains Plateau, Southwest, Northeast culture. Hockey is a popular sport currently played throughout the world by teams of players who attempt to knock the ball into the opponent's goal. It's by using a curved stick, while modern field hockey players are usually women, is played in a grassy field. Ice hockey is played on a ice-covered court. Both games are based in American Aboriginal stick ball games called shiny, which was played by tribes throughout the North America. Say, well, before Europeans arrived on this continent, frequently American Aborigines played skinny on ice. The players use a wooden ball or one made of buckskin that could be only touched with the stick or knocked with the feet. Primarily American Indian women. I'm sorry, I didn't get that word right. I'm gonna go back. American Indian women who played skinny. Occasionally, men and sometimes cold teams played skinny with shiny. I'm sorry, shiny. It say these original versions of field hockey were known by many names depending on the tribe that played it. It say, but they was giving to the universal name of shiny by early anthropologists. The modern name hockey came from the Jesuit missionaries who observed the Aborigines living in what is now Canada. All right, so we know who the fuck lived in Canada, because who the people that's over in Nova Scotia? I mean, that's over in Sierra Leone trying to sue the Canadian government for shipping them out. Black people. Even if you look in Hidden Colors tell you that the black people invented fucking hockey. Who are they telling you invented hockey? Indians. But why are they telling you black people invented? Because we are the Indians, or we are the Aborigines. First contact, first inhabitants from the beginning. Okay? They're telling you this shit. That's why they won't let you play hockey to this day. And we done gave all these sports up, hockey, baseball. We let them have that, man. We could come back and tap into that any day, man. You understand? So, let me see something. All right, it's a Canada played the game. It's a hacquet is a French word for shepherd cork. It's a referred to a curved stick the players use to propel the ball down the field. Although evidence exists that the Greeks and the Egyptians also play stickball. Now, why did the Egyptians play stickball? The same fucking reason we find Egyptian mummies wrapped up with coca leaves that they got from here. Stop the games, man. Egypt was made after the Americas, and actually, if you really want to get into it, we in Lower Egypt. All right, so historians have been able to find a link between those games and sports as it is played today. All right, you want to touch on holistic medicine on?
Yeah, I can do that.
Let's get it.
All right, holistic medicine. Just like pretty much all other medicines, pre-contact, North American, South American, Circum-Caribbean, Mesoamerican cultures. Holistic medicine seeks to address the social, psychological, spiritual, and economic needs of patients as well as the physical. It is based on the belief that illness is not always caused by pathogens or physical trauma alone. The patient's emotions or an environmental stressor might be the cause of the disorder or make an existing disorder more difficult to heal or bear. That makes sense. That's what happens even when they do get people or capture people, man, and move them away from the area that they are accustomed to. They get sick either way, so it don't even necessarily be from just diseases or stuff like that. You take anybody that's natural from their environment, from their natural environment, they're gonna get sick. But I'm gonna keep it says by the same token, the patient's thoughts and feelings can profoundly influence healing by exerting a positive effect on the immune system. Today, this is often called the mind-body connection. Only in the latter part of the 20th century did the theory gain acceptance in the medical community after a number of scientific studies demonstrated the influence of mood on the human immune system. American Indian physicians used holistic health practices for centuries before the arrival of Europeans. Psychosomatics, the influence of the mind and emotions on physical health, and the understanding that emotions such as stress can cause disease was a basic tenet of American Indian healing. Some groups, including the Iroquois, were very explicit about this. Thomas Page, author of The Civilization of the American Indians, called certain Iroquois beliefs remarkably prescient, for the Iroquois were aware of psychosomatic illnesses and all the mechanics of repression of forbidden desires or secret ambitions that appear in dreams. Tribal healers in many American Indian culture groups looked at a number of things before making a diagnosis or prescribing treatment. A medicine man or woman might look to see if the patient had violated any taboos, which could be spiritual, dietary, or social. The pre-contact Indian physician could prescribe medications or invasive procedures, or he or she could have the patient discuss his or her dreams, personal problems, or unmet desires. Psalms, prayers, sacrifices, offerings, rituals, ceremonies, and the burning of incense addressed a patient's emotional needs. Sometimes a ceremony would be performed or sacrifices made so that the patient, his or her family, and the community could be treated at the same time. In some cases, a steam bath, which say also steam rooms, might be prescribed, or a massage might be given to the patient. In cases of broken and fractured bones, the physician might pray or utter healing words while setting the broken bone. Some Indian healers might prescribe dietary changes until the crisis has passed. When the patient was infirm, other tribal members met his or her survival needs. When necessary, the needs of the family were met as well until the patient recovered. In the event the patient died, the widow and orphans would still be taken care of until they were able to become self-sufficient. The elderly and the disabled were also cared for. So there you have it. They want to make it seem like all the spiritual and ceremonial practices come from Africa, but as we just read, pre-contact holistic medicines, we are known and been known for the prescribing people physically, spiritually, and mentally, also emotionally, through different variations. I myself, I'm an incense man. I like to use incense, which are basically natural herbs or roots or spices, even some botanicals, flowers or whatever, to make my own incense, man, depending on whatever energy or mood that I need. So I learned that from the Algonquin side of the family. And yeah, man, that's deep right now.
Yes, sir. That's some deep. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. This is a world of information, man. It's a world of information right here, man. Y'all getting this first, man. We didn't went from A all the way to H. And at the end, they got all of the maps of the Americas, and they got most of all the original territories of the tribes that was in the area. So this is a real heavyweight joint right here, man. And I see that like the views on this is not very high, but like I said, man, our people, this is class right here. This is something you're gonna learn. You're not gonna learn this nowhere else, man. You're not gonna learn this no more, man. I deal with all this shit. We deal with the law, we deal with the history, we deal with all this shit, man, and dealing with the indigenous aborigines, which are us, man. All right, so
Right,
hominy, all right.
and its primary sources, like I said, is published by the National Archives. So
Oh well, you might as well go and touch on hominy, bro. I ain't glad to hear you back, man, brother AP, man. Can you say it?
go ahead, I'll get the next one. Stuff in my face. I apologize.
No, all right, do your thing then, my brother. All right, so hominy. Pre-contact Mesoamerican, North American, Southwest, Northeast, South American, and then cultures. Corn have been soaked, and corn has been wood ash, water, or lime water is called hominy. Hominy. They say American Indians, American Aborigines throughout the North Meso, and South American invented this process, which they taught the early colonists. Soaking corn is lye made from the wood ashes or the steak lime solution, both of which are alkaline. Remove the hulls and made the corn more easier to ground. It's also made of protein of niacin contained in corn more readily absorbed by the body. Niacin is a water-soluble vitamin, also known as B3. It's rarely in vegetable sources. In corn. Let me read some more of this, man. Let's read some more of this. It's a natural state. Most of the niacin is bond with carbohydrates and passes through the human body without being utilized. The alkaline processing is. Let me take this gum out of my skin now. The alkaline processing that is necessary to make hominy release the niacin, which is necessary in order for the body to absorb calcium and potassium from other foods that are eaten. The scientific name for the process is nactamalization. Nactamalization. The ancient Mayans and the Aztec both used it. The Mayan culture arose in Mesoamerica about 1500 BC. The Aztec Empire was established in the same region in about 1100 AD. The Mayans and Aztec used lime to make hominy and ate it in soups and stews. They also dried and ground the hominy kernels into flour and tortillas and tamales. These two foods are still an essential part of the Southwest and Mexico cuisine. They continue to be made from hominy flours called masoharine. It is the lime water soaking, the cooking that gave tortilla chips that distinctive taste. Okay. I'll move it down. All right, see this side right here. We got hominy grits. Raise your hand if you eat grits. I mean, yo, I ain't gonna front, yo. I love grits. I mean, but the more upscale grits, the real grits are really nothing but cornmeal and water. That's real grits. And you used to make like polenta out of it. You know, they honestly, like what we used to do with, like in culinary, we add cream to it. I don't eat dairy or whatever, but that seems to be so good. I ain't gonna front, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I love a cream of soup, cream of broccoli, cream of asparagus, cream of celery, man. I miss that shit so much, bro. But yeah, we used to make the grits, add a little cream to it, add some parsley, maybe some basil, little bit of Parmesan cheese, yeah. And then, you know, the way we cook it, now me, if I cook it now, what I do is just add stock to it. Add like a vegetable stock or something in that order, with I saute some spinach, like with some shallots and some garlic, saute that and mix that into the grits, and that's breakfast, man. All right, so let's keep it moving, y'all. So hospitals, pre-contact, Mesoamerican culture. The hospital is a centralized facility for diagnosis and treatment of medical disorders. The Aztec, whose empire was established in Mesoamerica, is about 1100 AD, founded the very first hospitals in the Americas. Like most hospitals today, these provided a wide range of services. They were staffed with doctors, surgeons, nurses, and extensive pharmacies and medicines. They see pharmacology. The ancient facilities were able to treat a wide range of pathogens and disorders. Aztec surgeons performed amputations, successful brain surgeries. It say these hospitals also had dentists, obstetricians, I don't know, it say eye doctors and ear doctors amongst the other specialists. The Aztec nursing staff included midwives, women who helped women give birth. All right. They say the medical system of the Aztec was quite comprehensive and advanced beyond the medical system of Europe. At the same time, in Europe, physicians and bloodletting surgeons did not. Let me read. Go to the top. They say did not practice in hospital. Look, man, let's be for real, yo. Europe was dirty. Okay, the European, they didn't have no hospital. They learned all this shit from us. They used to pull motherfuckers' teeth out and then just fucking wrap their face up or whatever. All right. It say did not apothecary. It say a few hospitals were established by religious orders and asylums. It say or long-term residence for homeless, sick, the victims of disasters. Most provided a place to stay, a little else. Not until the Renaissance of, in the 1500s, did the European hospitals become centers for medical treatment. In contrast, the Aztec placed hospitals in all of their large cities and urban areas. They say these hospitals were well funded and supported by the government. Virgil Vogel writes in his book American Indian Medicine, for severe cases, the expenses of the treatment which could not be borne except by the wealthy cases. Hospitals were established by the government in all of the largest cities endowed with ample revenue. It say where patients from the surrounding counties were cared for by experienced doctors, surgeons and nurses well versed in the Aboriginal healing art. Okay, so there you have it, man. We done created everything. These people ain't creating nothing. Hot springs. Hot springs are created when a surface of water near a molten rocks of earth crust. They say the heated water rises and returns to the surface through the cracks of the rocks. American Aborigines knew about the hot springs in the areas where they live and were using them for hundreds of years before the European colonists and explorers discovered these geothermal features. Often the water of these hot springs are rich in minerals. Okay, it say throughout North American indigenous people use the springs for hygienic and medical and medicinal purposes. Hot springs were used to treat gout, arthritis, and similar diseases. All right, you know Dr. Sabi had a hot spring where he was at. A lot of people don't know that. One of you brothers want to touch on hygiene, or you want me to continue? I'll keep it going.
Yeah,
right.
They got hydraulics first.
All right, when that you want to hit the hydraulics up?
Yeah, I can do the hydraulics right quick. This is pretty deep.
Let's get it.
All right. Hydraulics calculated 300 BC. Mesoamerican, North American, Southwest South American and Indian cultures. Hydraulics refers to the use of liquids, usually water, to perform a task or operate a device. Generally, hydraulics requires that the water be under some sort of pressure. According to Gregory Cott or Kate, the author of Native Science, Natural Laws of Interdependence, hydraulic engineering began in the Americas about 300 BC in Mesoamerica, where it was used in conjunction with irrigation and terrace forming. Controlling water to use for agriculture was later also practiced extensively in South America and Southwest desert regions of North America. Mesoamerican farmers continued to be experts at diverting water, draining swamps, and diverting flood water to refill them in order to build the Chinampas garden plots near what is now Mexico City. South American Inca engineers also developed this technology, and miners were using it to mine gold. The Inca Empire was established in what are now Peru and Bolivia in about AD 1000. The Inca rechanneled rivers so that the water pressure was aimed against a specific area at the bottom of cliffs where gold had been found. The resulting water pressure eroded the cliffs and exposed the underlying gold. The hydraulic mining practiced by Inca miners was more limited than the wholesale erosion of stream banks practiced during the North American California gold rush of the mid 1800s. In South America, the use of hydraulic technology for mining, as opposed to engineering, began at least by the 14th century or earlier. The ancient American Indians were able to achieve monumental tasks with simple tools. That was deep. And they got the hygiene next, man.
You want to go on that?
Yeah, I can go ahead. Hygiene. All right. Personal. Pre-contact. North American. Mesoamerican. Circumcaribbean. South American cultures. Indians throughout the Americas bathed on a daily basis long before contact with Europeans. This practice included infants, children, and adults. Bathing was generally viewed as a good health practice, both to prevent illness and to help treat illnesses. Many tribes believed that bathing was a form of purifying oneself spiritually. Indians of the Northern Plains, for example, bathed on a daily basis, even in winter. This bathing took place in streams, rivers, hot springs, and in steam rooms or sweat lodges. The latter were used throughout the Americas. In Aztec cities, most homes or clusters of homes had their own sweat baths. Contrary to the assumptions of many whites, Aboriginal Indians were a clean people and had a much higher regard for bathing than was common among their white neighbors, wrote in Virgil Vogel in his book American Indian Medicine. You know, that's about the first time I seen them describe Aboriginal Indian. Okay. The Aztec, whose empire was established in Mesoamerica in about AD 1100, considered bathing a priority. When religious holidays required each person to sacrifice or forego something important, they would comply by not taking a bath. But for all that, a love of cleanliness seems to have been general throughout the population. No doubt the members of the ruling class gave up more of their time and attention to it than ordinary citizens, wrote Jacques Sustele in Daily Life of the Aztecs. A Tapia, who accompanied Hernan Cortez in the conquest of what is now Mexico, recorded that Montezuma washed his body twice a day, a practice that astonished the conquistadors. The Aztec gave very specific instructions to their young regarding cleanliness. According to Sustele, one such admonishment instructed women to wash their faces and hands and to clean their mouths in the morning. If you want your husband to love you, dress well, wash yourself, and wash your clothes. An Aztec father admonished his daughter. This emphasis on cleanliness extended to food preparation. Fray Bernardino de Sahagun described the criteria for a good preparer of food. The good cook is honest, discreet, one who likes good food, an epicure, a taster, is clean, one who bathes herself, prudent, one who washes her hands, one who washes herself, who has good drink, good food. American Indians were bathing on a daily basis as well as brushing their teeth. And say, see also chewable dentifrices or whatever it is, mouthwash, toothbrush, toothpaste, and powders. Wearing deodorants, shampooing, washing their clothes. It says see also detergent and conditioning their hair. When Europeans arrived, they were doing all of that, chewing gum, mouthwash, brushing their teeth, all that. European hygiene habits at that time were much less involved and much less frequent. Although the Romans had established public baths throughout the European continent and England, the Christian church began to forbid public bathing early in the Middle Ages, under the edict which held that any kind of bathing or cleaning of oneself was disgusting and abominable. Europeans generally stopped the practice because in cities at least clean water was rare. There was some basis in truth to the belief that bathing was unhealthy. Queen Isabella of Spain was proud of the fact that she had bathed only twice in her life. Damn. North American colonists carried beliefs about bathing with them when they came to the New World. They rarely bathed except for medical reasons. This Western European attitude toward bathing persisted into the 19th and 20th centuries. They viewed bathing as something that would endanger their health rather than improve it. A law passed in Boston as late as 1845 forbade bathing unless a doctor prescribed it. In the mid 1800s, Daniel Drake, an American physician, wrote, "An overwhelming majority of our population seldom bathe at all. Of the efficacy of daily bathing in preservation of sound health and a hardy constitution, there can be no doubt, and it is much to be regretted that the practice cannot be more general. Vitalogy or Vitalogy, a health book published in the early 1900s, offered its readers some advice on bathing. Dr. Braithwaite A specialist on children states that frequently diseases and deaths of children are due to improper and regular bathing. Despite the fact that American Indians were concerned with personal cleanliness for hundreds of years prior to contact, colonists who rarely washed their hands even to perform surgery frequently branded them with the epithet dirty Indians. Although personal hygiene undoubtedly became a lower priority than survival for indigenous Americans after the European invasion brought waves of disease and near starvation, the notion of filthy savages is not based on historical truth. That was deep, man. That let y'all know. I mean, we already knew they was dirty or whatever, but I mean, here's just more even proof, man, right out of the encyclopedia, man.
And you know what? They tell you. They tell you that them kings over there lived in the barn with the fucking animals. And when they took off their fur, their skin crawled from the damn lice they had on their body. So they're going to tell you right there. And they called you a savage, but you was a savage, right? And we created all this shit. Who's the real savage?
Right.
Who's the real savage? You understand what I'm saying? Savage also means to salvage, means the hoard. So you got to also take that into account. Who's hoarding all the fucking resources and then selling it back to people? Mm-hmm. But understand, these savages, they will sit here and tell you, "Oh man, you can put a suit on a fucking gorilla, on a orangutan all day long. He's still gonna be a fucking orangutan, okay? But we want as naked as our mother bore them in certain areas, man. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a little bit of history, man. Well, like I said, man, nobody giving it up like this, man. Shout out to the brother Jack for giving you that.
I can't believe that the queen was even proud of barely bathing in her life. She ain't never take a bath.
That shit was a religion in Christianity. Look, in Christianity, it was forbidden to bathe, bro.
That shit sad,
That's
man.
what they not tell you. So they practice chromophilia. Chromophilia is the practice of living filthy and dirty. Okay? So we already know, man. We know they ain't create nothing. We know that we created soap, deodorant, all this stuff. We see it all right here. They ain't create nothing. The only thing they created was the gun to take the shit from you and make you work for it. That's the only thing they did was create the guns and these loud ass bombs to scare you. You know what I'm saying? And to make you work for them. Now you getting up in the morning and go to work to go buy bottled water that the water on this continent naturally belongs to you, but you going in the store buying bottled water. Shit comes straight from the Great Lakes. Ain't no European from this country, so who gives them the dominion to take this shit? Oh, the Electoral College, the people who the shareholders in the fucking United States. Not United States is occupying American territory. They're not the Americans. And anybody that they bring here are not Americans. Anybody they bring here are fucking employees of the corporation. And that needs to be understood. You understand what I'm saying? I don't care. You can be born here 50 times. That don't make you an American. You are from where your forefathers was from.
Right.
We are Tanchans. We have the minerals and the dirt of the soil running through us. Look at Albert Perry. He has a DNA 300 and some odd thousand years old. You understand? So like I said, man, ain't nobody giving this shit up like us, man. You know what I'm saying? This shit right here should be on Patreon, man. I mean, and I'm saying I drop these gems, man, because I love the subscribers. I love the people who come through who love to see the work or whatever. But you know what I'm saying? Like I said, it ain't nobody horns, man, because if it wasn't for these brothers right here, we wouldn't even be reading it. So I hope people really appreciate this shit, man. And like I said, these views should be getting in the tens of thousands, man.
Facts, big facts.
Views should be getting tens of fucking thousands, bro. You understand what I'm saying?
Video. Put it on
That's
your
right. Share
Facebook.
this, man.
Put it
This is
everywhere.
your history. Go share it. You don't know. You want to know your history. So when these clowns ask you, oh, well, what language would you speak? And all this other goofy shit, you can pull this out. You can say, all right, well, while we talk about what language, we're going to tell you some of the stuff that we invented over here.
Right.
What the Africans invented.
Right.
I'm waiting. Well, I mean, what did they invent? We invented cars. We invented all of this shit that you see. We invented, bro. And they ain't giving you no credit for it. They telling you the only thing you invented was a crack pipe. You understand what I'm saying? All you invented was a fucking crack pipe. You understand? You ain't invent that neither because they been freebasing over here.
That's a fact.
So, at the end of the day, man, you know what I'm saying? Definitely, man. Definitely give your boys some credit for putting this information. Don't nobody listen. Ain't nobody got to do all this reading, man, for a bunch of people who don't care about it. I ain't talking about the brothers and sisters in the chat. No, I'm talking about anybody who watched this video later on. But for the most part, we love y'all. We love the subscribers, love the people who come through and always show support. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, man, I see a lot of ungrateful people who don't really, like some of my comments I get. I mean, most of the comments, 99% of the comments be 100. The other fucking 1% be a bunch of, you know what I'm saying, a bunch of clowns and shit. But for the most part, hey, we need that balance. We need the two polarities. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I mean, so let's keep it moving, man. Let's keep it moving, man. Let's see what we got next. We got ice fishing, ice hockey, igloos. Y'all already know what an igloo is. Ain't no reason on touching on that. There you go, right there. We don't live in that, so I don't need to live in no damn igloo. Oh, impeachment. Oh, see, U.S. Constitution, American Indian influence on. All right. Let's say indigestion medicine. All right. So you know what indigestion? Indigestion is a. Let me take this gum out my mouth. Indigestion is a discomfort resulting from the inability to digest certain foods. It is often accompanied by heartburn. Heartburn, reflex of stomach acid that irritates the esophagus. They say American Aborigines had many medicines for the common stomach upset that remains in use in natural home remedies today. One of the most well known is the papaya. It's a fruit producing tree from that indigenous to the tropical area of Meso and South America. The Mayans whose culture began to flourish in Mesoamerica is about 15,200 BC grew papaya trees in orchard. They used the juice of the papaya fruit as the digested as eat. They say both papaya leaves and unripe papayas contain papain, the enzymes that break down the protein, making it more easier to digest, more easily digestible. Today, papaya enzyme tablets are sold over the counter and are used to help digestion. All right. Let's see what else we got. Inflammation treatment, insect bites. You already know we had to have something for that. Let's see something. Insect bite and bee sting medicine. American Indians use a number of botanical remedies for the insect bite, the bee sting, many of which continue to be used by herbalists today. Modern researchers have uncovered the scientific reasons why several of these remedies work. The Mayans, whose culture arose in Mesoamerica in about 1500 BC, were known to apply papaya leaves on insect bites and bee stings. Papaya leaves are unripe papaya contains papain, an enzyme that break down protein in meat, making it tender. These enzymes also break down the insect venom. Today, fresh papaya is sometimes rubbed on insect bites. All right. Let's see what we got. All right, we got insecticides, insect repellents. I mean, we don't. Do we really need to go over this? If not, I'm gonna touch on a little bit of this, and let me see something. Unless you want to touch on this, Jack.
Oh no, I don't want to see. We can. You know, I'm pretty sure everybody know. You know, insect repellents. All this is pretty much pre-contact. That's just about it.
All right, so we got insecticides.
Yeah,
We got
insecticide,
insect repellent.
same
Um,
thing,
pretty
basically.
much, and they'll tell you. Well, I don't know if
That's the group.
lemongrass, huh?
Oh nah, go ahead.
Lemongrass is a good insect repellent.
Right, right. Cause
Mint,
that's what's in your off. When you look in your off, it ain't nothing but lemongrass and citronella.
You get some lemongrass oil, rub that shit on your arms, and it smell good. I ain't gonna front, bro. It smell good.
Peppermint
Lemongrass.
oil too.
Exactly. Peppermint. Yes, sir. All right, so we got instrument, musical installation homes or insulated home. Let me read a little bit of this. All right, so pre-contact North American, Northeast, Great Plains, Arctic, Southwest, Mesoamerican, South American cultures. Insulation provides protection against temperature variation, even though weather conditions were sometimes extreme. American Indians use sophisticated home insulation techniques to keep themselves comfortable during the cold winter or the hot summer. For example, the Chippewa, they say, who lived in the Midwest of North America, built wigwams. They say with double walls that enclose the dead air space. They made the outer walls for tough reed that the women sewed together with the split spruce root and nettle fiber. The walls of the aerospace were lined with plant material of finer formulants. They say to prevent draft. Cattail reed mats were tied in course up to the smoke hole at the top of the wigwams. They were arranged in the same way the shingles are today. The reed were aligned vertically so that the rain would run off quickly. The wigwam builders used baked mud to fireproof and smoke holes. All right, ain't nothing new up under the sun. Okay. Instant foods. Instant foods are not a 20th century invention. The Mayans, who culturized in Mesoamerican in about 1500 BC, poached beans and ground them into flour. These were reconstructed with water when they needed. So basically what they did was they dehydrated them and then added water to hydrate them to make them like, you know what I'm saying? So the Aztec empires was established in Mesoamerica in about 1100 AD, had a number of convenient foods that were used by travelers and required only the addition, excuse me, of water to make a meal. The pineal or ground a ground toasted cornmeal, they say, was one of these foods. It was carried by travelers in a small sack. The cacao, or dried chili were added sometime for flavor. Travelers mixed water with the pineal and their dinner was ready. All right. Now, one of you brothers would like to touch on anything on this page. Let me see what we got. Iodine, apocock. So this is a root made of shrub. All right, poison control. All right, I don't see ain't too much right here. When y'all want to tackle ironwork,
Yeah, ironwork. Yeah, I
and
think.
we got irrigation systems right here. I thought we touched on irrigation systems. Nah, we ain't touched on none of that. Fuck it. We got the Iroquois Constitution. So if you're going to do that, might as well just keep it moving and do the Iroquois Constitution as well. and the irrigation systems. Is that cool with you? Oh, you did irrigation system the first time we did it, but if you want to touch it for the sake that we doing this video, so it's all yours.
All right, you want me to go ahead and do the ironwork?
Yes, sir.
All right. I might have touched on this a little bit, but ironwork, pre-contact, North American Arctic cultures. Although Indians of the Americas devised sophisticated metallurgical techniques, including making alloys, electroplating, and annealing, unlike their European counterparts, they did not, for the most part, work with iron. There is, however, an exception to this rule that rarely finds its way into history books. The polar Inuit who lived near Baffin Bay exploited a local source of iron in the form of meteorites, using this iron to make blades. Unfortunately, they told early European explorers about the source of their metal, saying it had come from iron mountains. When the explorers analyzed the blades that they collected from the Inuit and found it had come from a meteorite, they began searching for the source. It says in 1849, Richard Peary found the source about 35 miles east of Cape York and discovered that it consisted of three iron chunks, which the Inuit had named woman, dog, and tent. The Inuit told him the large chunks of iron had been hurled from the sky. By the time Peary saw the huge rocks, many pieces had been chipped away. The Inuit told him that after the sled carrying the woman's head had fallen through the ice, they carried away only small pieces at a time. Peary rewarded the indigenous people for their openness by stealing the meteorites. Damn. After a great deal of effort, the explorer and his the 1,000-pound dog, the 6,000-pound woman, and the 100-ton tent it took them back to New York. He justified his actions with the rationale that since the Inuit had now been officially discovered, they could obtain iron for their blades from ships' crews. So basically, they just came up with a title and called it Woman, Dog, and Tent to describe it as a damn metal. That was sick, dog. That's crazy. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the Iroquois Constitution, the Great Law of Peace, calculated AD 1000 to AD 1400, and you gotta remember AD 1000 is the Inca period. AD 1000 is the Inca Empire period. The Iroquois Constitution or Great Law of Peace was created by the Iroquois to stop neighboring tribes from fighting. The document recorded in wampum belts, now known as the Hiawatha belts, after one of the founders. Formed after one of the founders formed a confederacy among the Iroquois nations, the Oneida, Mohawk, Cayuga, O, Onondaga, and Seneca, and later Tuscarora, who lived in the northeastern part of what is now the United States. The Iroquois placed the creation of the Constitution. Excuse me, out. Who lived in the northeastern part of what is now the United States. The Iroquois placed the creation of the Constitution at between AD 1000 and AD 1400. Contemporary historians date the document at about AD 1450. In either case, the Great Law of Peace was pre-Columbian. The Iroquois Constitution included the principles of a bicameral legislature and outlined procedure for passing laws. It forbade the holding of dual office by leaders and provided an orderly way to remove leaders of the Confederacy. The power to declare war was delineated as well as the balance of power between individual tribes in the Confederacy. Other provisions detail how new tribes would be admitted to the Confederacy and how new amendments would be made to the Constitution. It also forbade unauthorized entry into an individual's home and ensured that the citizens of each member tribe would be able to practice their own unique religious ceremonies. Some scholars believe it was the longest formal international constitution in the world until that time. The only possible exception to this might be the oral English Constitution, which had its origin in the Magna Carta. The Iroquois Constitution provided much of the inspiration of the Articles of Confederation and later the U.S. Constitution, which was created after the 13 English colonies on the eastern seaboard won independence from Britain. So just like that right there, man, I mean, we already had an established government before Columbian, pre-Columbian, which is Christopher Columbian sales, which is before the doctrine of discovery, man. We got it right here. It gave you AD 1000. So how were they able to just create a doctrine of discovery to come try to take over another government, basically, under the Catholic faith? And it says right here that we allow people to have their own religious ceremonies, man, and our own government. Come on, man. You want me to touch on this irrigation system right quick? I go ahead.
Oh, let me something real quick. Hold up, real quick. You touched on that part where it talks about they say the only possible exception to this might be the oral English Constitution, which, and remember, we just told you what the English Constitution was, man. It's up in here. It's a fucking contract. Damn contract, y'all. You just touched on it right here. Right here, say the corporation constitution. Yo, I'm telling you, man, you gotta laugh from keep from fucking crying, yo. According to the 1824 Webster Dictionary, the word federal was synonymous with contract. At the time of the original Constitution, it wasn't the original Constitution because we already had one, you lying fucks. It was written, all constitutions are affirmation of debt. All right? But you don't hear me, though.
Tell you, man. That's it right there, man. Like, I mean, man, we might should have just read that when we, I don't know, man.
Should read what? Oh, we ain't done. It's another Iroquois. It's another constitution coming up. It's two of them. It's that one, and then it's another one I just seen. So, I mean, if you want to do the irrigation system, try to find the other one because that shit is interesting. Let me see. I mean, if you want to touch on it, be my guest, bro. I'm just scrolling. Oh, Jay.
Yeah, I know. I did touch on irrigation, pretty much.
If you want to know what, just read. Just read. Just read like the first couple, like the first paragraph, just to give them a touch on exactly what it is.
Yeah, I do that.
All right, no doubt.
All right. Irrigation systems calculated 8,000 BC to 7,000 BC. Mesoamerican, South American, Andean, North American, Southeastern, and Southwestern cultures. Okay. Irrigation is the practice of supplying dry land with water. Indians throughout the Americas began inventing methods of irrigating crops soon after they first began cultivating them. They achieved this by floodplain irrigation and canals. The earliest floodplain farming occurred in Mesoamerica and pre-Peruvian South America. In many areas, floodplain farming evolved into terrace farming. Some of the earliest irrigation canal systems are those built by the Olmec, whose culture flourished in Mesoamerica starting in about 1700 BC. Although neither of these agricultural techniques was unique, these independent inventions rivaled those practiced in the Middle East and with and China, the two other birthplaces of agriculture outside of the Americas. Floodplain irrigation, planting crops in areas where the soil would be saturated by water that flooded the banks of. That's a picture, kind of historic irrigation canals. All right. It said by water that flooded the banks of streams and rivers was the earliest form of irrigation. It provided moisture for crops and added nutrients to the soil in the form of silt. In North America, floodplain farming was practiced by southeastern agriculturalists from the Mississippian Hopewell and Adena cultures living along the valleys of the Mississippi and Ohio rivers from calculated 1500 BC to 100 BC. Although farming on floodplains took less initial effort than building extensive terraces with water courses or canal systems, it required a great deal of knowledge of the principles of runoff and stream flow in order to work successfully. Too little water and the crops would not grow. Too much and they would wash away. So it just gives you a good bit of history on that irrigation, man. So
Hey man, that's some. I mean, like I said, man, this encyclopedia is phenomenal, man. And like this is basically the nail in the coffin, man, because they ain't gonna be able to refute none of this shit, bro. You can't say this shit started in Kemet if the people over here is being credit for it. So you try to hit you with that Kemet. Oh, everything started in Kemet. Nah. No, it did not. No, it did not.
right.
Ain't on J so far. I don't really see now. Let me get to. I want to touch on jerky a little bit. I mean, I don't eat fucking dried meat, but if you want to hear an interesting story of what else, how else they was doing jerky, because what they was doing was they would hang the slaves up, and they would hang the slaves, and then when they die or whatever, they was hang them. They will put them in the ground, stuff them with herbs, and then dig them up and let them dry out in the fucking dirt. I mean, let them dry out in the sun. It's a book called Mummies, Vampires. Is it Mummies, Vampires, and Cannibals, or Cannibal, Mummies, Vampires, or it's either or the three. But if you read it, you'll see it's some interesting stuff, and it shows you how these people was cannibal. Because you know what? The only people who are gonna be preserving meat, people who don't have fruits and vegetables, or people who don't have access to nuts and herbs and all the shit that we just read that we had over here. So the only people gonna be preserving meat is some damn. It's like, I mean, we do that now. We eat cold cuts and all that crap, but we following after the invaders, because the invaders and stole your life. So therefore, now you gotta eat what he eat. So all right, so jerky. They say jerky is a popular snack. You know, a funny ass commercial too. You ever see that Bigfoot commercial and shit? When the camper be running and shit, the motherfucker be behind him. You ever seen that commercial, Jaguar?
Yeah.
The motherfucker be behind him and shit. He be running and shit like, yo, he just tackle him and shit. Yeah. But you see the Aboriginal girl with the eagle on her hand. You ever see the commercial with the Aboriginal girl? It's a black girl that be up there running with Bigfoot.
I think I did. It was a while ago, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't watch TV, but that commercial be coming on the sports channels and shit when I watch sports sometime or whatever. But yeah, all right. So jerky, North America, Mesoamerica, Caribbean, South America are deemed cultures. Jerky, a popular snack in modern times, is dried meat. Is often seasoned and cut into strips. American Aborigines throughout North America, Mesoamerica, South America, developed a variety of ways to dry meat, included the barbacoa, or barbecue used in the West Indies. The word jerky comes from the Quechua language of the Incas, who called the food characron, which means dried meat. Experts at food preservations of the Incas, sun-dried meat, and also using freeze drying methods to preserve the meat from the llamas. So they was eating the llamas, man. All right, so keep it moving. Jerusalem artichoke. You know what the artichoke is? I actually like artichokes, man. I like the artichokes. I chop these up, put these in my salad. But I like the ones that's like inside the brine. So we got jewelry, turquoise and silver, right? Anybody remember their moms or their grandmothers used to have the silver ring and shit with the turquoise in it?
Yeah.
Remember that? Remember people was wearing them shit back in the day, right?
That's right.
That's what they talking about. Jewelry, turquoise, or silver. The only people wearing that was Aborigines, man. You see people, a matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna cop me a ring like that, bro. I'm gonna get me a silver and turquoise ring. Matter of fact, let me write that shit down, yo. Cause let me write that down real quick, y'all. I ain't trying to jerk wreck or nothing, but shit. I need to get one of them like that. I remember we used to wear them shits back in the day. My mom used to always have one. My grandmother. All right, we can keep it moving though. Y'all pretty much know what it is. So they always try to give you this bastard right here. That's a Navajo. That's not us. All right, we already know who we are. Jicama. Y'all know what jicama is. Jicama is like a potato or a plant, and it tastes like an apple. It tastes like an apple, but it's not sweet. You can make jicama potato chips and jicama like fries out of them. You got jojoba. It's a woody scrub of the Sonoran Desert in the southern Arizona. All right, so you know these are like berries and shit. We on K. You want to touch on kayaks, or you want me to read a little bit of this and see what else we got? We're running through this shit today. All right, so I'm gonna touch on kayaks a little bit. Kayaks, North American, Arctic, and subarctic culture. Kayaks, light boats similar to canoes, were used throughout the Arctic and subarctic. Are now known as Nova Scotia, aka Canada, and Greenland. Now remember, you already know it was Aborigines up in Canada, man, because we made snowshoes and they show you the people who made the snowshoes and they Negroes. You understand? So we pretty much already understand this. So it says made of seal or walrus skin, placed over a wooden frame. Oh shit, that's interesting, right? It say with whalebone lasting. It say one person. So they made fucking kayaks out of whale bones. and then took the skin of the walrus and covered it. And that's another funny thing, just not to get off of the subject of this, right? A lot of them mounds, that they show you was built out of wood. They would make the wooden frame and then put the fucking dirt over it and cover the dirt with them. All right, so let me see. It made a well-bone lashing. One-person kayak was easily maneuverable. I mean, yeah, maneuverable. It's saying allow those who use them to travel up to 70 miles a day under great conditions. Kayaks can also travel in very shallow water. All right, y'all know what kayaks is. You no longer use kayaks. They got the well, they mainly use them up there, up in the cold regions. But I told you, ain't nothing new up under the sun, man. The European took everything, man. He's the biggest thief on the damn planet. Touch a little bit on knitting. Just keep it moving. So knitting, needle knitting, 400 BC, 400 AD. Indigenous textile workers who lived on the south and central coast of what is now Peru developed needlework techniques that is called needle knitting today. They use it to create decorating edgings for their textile garments, although their appearance of the items made with this technique resembles knitting. Needle knitting use a single needle instead of two. This technique, which uses cross knitting, looping, and the buttonhole, it's a stitch closely approximate needle tatting. It's a or the needle point or rose point lace making techniques that were independently invented in Europe in the Middle Ages in about 1400 AD. It's unlike embroidery, needle knitting edging can be removed and resold onto a garment. So we already know, they already said when we passed it that we already doing embroidery. So I don't even know why they threw European up in there. He ain't make shit. You want to touch on this, my brother? Lawmaking? Lacrosse?
Yeah.
All right.
Labor laws, or which one you want?
I mean, you can have them both, bro.
Yeah, I can do both of them. Yeah,
You
I
want
know
to flow?
lacrosse pretty long, but
You want to? I mean, you ain't got to touch on it as long as we don't. You know what I'm saying? Long as we get a good understanding of lacrosse, but we want people to know this shit right here. We made all this shit. The European ain't bring no sport over here. The only sport he brought over here was a sport of chasing you around, killing you, and hanging you. That's it. He ain't bring shit over here. I
right.
digress.
All right, labor laws calculated AD 1000 to AD 1519, South American Andean cultures. Laws designed to promote the safety and well-being of workers have come to be known as labor laws. Once again, we already know this the Inca whose empire was established in what is now Peru in AD 1000, taxed their citizens by having them perform services or pay tributes to a certain extent. Citizens could choose the type of tax they paid. That's major. Gold mining was one way that some people paid taxes. In many cases, the gold deposits existed in harsh areas at high altitudes. The nobility who demanded the tax in gold did, however, recognize the needs of their taxpayers. They therefore developed very specific labor laws to protect the miners, while also ensuring a constant supply of gold. These laws required that only married couples do the mining. The miner's wife cooked, washed clothes, and took care of the living quarters, but most of all, she boosted her husband's morale. This was important for the miner, enabling him to work harder. Provisions and equipment were provided to each miner and his wife. And so that, sick miners were required by law to be removed and returned home. Most important, because of the difficult mining conditions, the miners were rotated so as to prevent damage to them. Another law required that miners only work during warm summer months, while in the mining camps they had designated rest periods, and the government would sponsor feasts and festivals for them. Yet another law required that the miner's job or farm be maintained by others through the tax system while he was in the mines. So it's a pretty fair system, man. I mean, it sounds to me, I don't know about anybody else. All right. So we got Lacrosse. And I'll just read on a good bit of it because they basically well, I'll just read a little bit because they basically showing you how we was doing lacrosse pre-contact and how the foreigners, especially the Catholic and later the English, really loved the game so much so they just had to involve themselves, man. So lacrosse, pre-contact North American Northeast and Southeast cultures. Sometimes called the fastest game on 2 feet, lacrosse is played by two teams on an open field with goals at each end. In the modern version of the game, 10 players on each team carry long handled sticks with a triangular mesh pocket at the end. They attempt to put a 5-ounce hard rubber ball into the opponent's net while preventing them from scoring. They may not touch the ball with their hands. The game of lacrosse was originally invented by American Indians and played in many parts of the North American continent. Although some anthropologists have made attempts to relate the origins of lacrosse to the ancient basketball game played in Mesoamerica by the Aztec, Maya, and Olmec on elaborate stone courts, little evidence supports this. However, the exact origins of lacrosse, the ancient basketball game played in Mesoamerica by the Aztec, Maya, and Olmec on elaborate stone courts. Okay, damn, my bad. However, the exact origins of lacrosse, the fastest growing sport in the United States today, remain uncertain. The first recorded instance of a non-Indian watching a lacrosse game was that of John de Brebeuf, a French missionary who described a Huron Wyandot game to his superiors in the 1600s. In his report, he compared the curved playing sticks he had seen to a crozier, a staff with a cross or a crook at the end carried before Catholic officials to denote their office. Although legend has it that lacrosse derived its name from rebuke, more than likely the name lacrosse came from a type of French stickball called jeu de lacrosse. And say other accounts from early missionaries indicated that lacrosse was played in the Great Lakes region, Lower Canada, upstate New York, and among the Cherokee of the Southeast. There were also a few scattered reports of a game similar to lacrosse played by some Pacific Coast tribes, but anthropologists do not believe the game was widespread in the West. And say the game was a dangerous one, requiring players to have great skill to catch, carry, and pass the ball. According to some witnesses, the Southeastern teams were so large that many players would never get near the ball. Instead, they used their sticks to injure other players in order to take them out of the game. The contests were typically played from dawn to sunset and lasted 2 to 3 days. The Cherokee avid players termed the sport war's little brother. Not surprisingly, lacrosse was mainly played by young men who raced across the countryside to score points and block the other team from making goals. Although the game was mainly a man's sport, some tribes are said to have allowed women to play on teams with men. In a few instances, women competed with other women. So yeah, it talks about the Iroquois and how they was in it. It gets up into the 1800s, all that, man. So Yeah, that's a good one, man. It's got a lot of more history on lacrosse, man. So, all right. I guess we'll go ahead and touch on I got a picture right here though. I ain't mean to pass it. Picture of them playing lacrosse. It's a artist George Catlin painted this Choctaw lacrosse game in the early 1800s. He wrote that as he watched, an instant struggle ensued between the players, who were some 600 or 700 in number. The version of lacrosse played by Northeast tribes used fewer players on each side and more closely resembled the game that is played today. All right, so that's all right right there. I guess I'll touch on lady slippers right quick for the ladies. Lady slippers, pre-contact. Of course, probably just another shoe, y'all. So lady slippers, the name given to many. Oh, it's a plant. Damn. Look at that. It sounds like I'm thinking it's a damn shoe. See, this is what studying does for you. Helps you put things in the right perspective. Lady slipper is the name given to many species of plants that belong to the genus Cypripedium. They are members of the orchid family and grow in the Americas, Asia, and Europe. Flourishing in damp places, lady slippers grow from Canada to the American South. American Indians discovered that the roots and rhizomes of these plants contain substances that worked as sedative and antispasmodic for the treatment of epilepsy and seizures, and as a pain reliever. The varieties they use for these medicinal purposes include Cypripedium aculae, or C. humale, or humal, or C. Parvilia florum, and C. pubescens, or pubescens. They harvested and dried the plants, preparing them by boiling the entire root system in water or powdering the roots to mix with water. All right. It says, according to Michael Weiner, author of the book Earth Medicine, Earth Food, the lady slipper was first used by several tribes as a sedative and nerve medicine. It later became accepted in domestic American medicine as a cure for insomnia. Some of the tribes that used lady slipper tea were the Chippewa, Mohawk, Meskwaki, Menominee, and Penobscot of northeastern North America, and the Cherokee of the southeast. The Chippewa use say pupsins as a sedative and anti-spasmodic for difficult labor. The Menominee use parviflorum for women's emotional and obst- obstetric difficulties, and C. aculae, or aqualae, for men with nervous problems and or neuralgia. It says the Cherokee use parviform as an antiheminic or anti-helmintic, and the Penobscot use C. aqualae to treat nervous problems. All right. Many American Indian women use C. humal for difficult births. Although the Lakota people of the plains were known to eat lady slipper as a food, it is not known if they used it medicinally. So that was interesting because I actually thought that was a doggone type of shoe. So
Yeah, man. That's some yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's everything in here, bro. You people ain't creating nothing. Hey, AP said you know how to send the link in the back chat. I don't know how to send it.
Let me see.
I mean, I did it in the chat, but he said you know another way how to send it.
Um, he can't get in. Maybe I gotta
I
send.
sent that shit through his email everywhere. He said he can't get in. I don't know how what's going on. But you know what? Give me a second. You want to touch on sign language real quick? I need to go take these brush these herbs real quick. It's gonna take me.
All right, yeah, language right quick. Yeah, I do that.
All right, no doubt. I'll be right back.
All right, language. American Indian influence on. All right, so it's the influence on language. Contact. This is at contact. So North American, Mesoamerican, Circumcaribbean, and South American cultures. Since contact with Europeans, American Indians have contributed hundreds of words from their indigenous languages to both English and Spanish, the predominant languages of the conquerors and colonizers. Often, these adopted words were the names Indians had given to animals, plants, and places that Europeans had never seen before. For example, the manatee, an aquatic mammal that is found in the coastal waters of both the tropical Americas and Africa, was named from the Carib Indian word manatee or manatee, which meant beast. The Spanish were the first to use it, and it entered the English language in 1672. Chiggers, tiny mice that burrow beneath the skin, causing intense irritation, derive their name from chigoi or chigo, a word used by Carib Indians for a small tropical flea. The Carib were indigenous to islands in what is now the Caribbean, which is named after them. That's right. In the Northeast, Algonquin speakers gave colonists a number of words. Terrapin is an Algonquin word meaning little turtle, a source of food for indigenous people of the eastern woodlands. The European colonists added the freshwater turtles to their vocabulary by 1672, as well as to their diet, transforming the turtles into soup and stew as the American Indians did. The name of the nocturnal marsupials called opossums comes from the Powhatan word opossum or opossum, meaning a white animal. In 1610, it was shortened to possum by colonists. All right. Chipmunk or Tamias striatus is derived from the Chippewa and Anish, Anishinaabe word a a a Atitaman, a teacherman, which means head first, and is a description of how chipmunks descend from trees. The small squirrel-like rodent with characteristics stripes down their backs are coming to the eastern United States. In 1832, the word was spelled chipmunk in English, and 25 years later was changed to its present spelling. The first recorded English use of the word coyote appeared in 1759. It came from Mexican Spanish, who borrowed the term from the Nahuatl or Aztec word coyote. The Aztec contributed a number of other words to Spanish and then English, including avocado, chili, chocolate, peyote, tamale, and tomato. The jaguar, Felis jaguarundi or jaguarundi, a long-tailed grayish-brown wildcat native to tropical America, gets its name from the Guarani word for dog, jaguarundi. Piranhas are tropical freshwater fish that attack and kill other fish and animals. Their name came into the English language through the Portuguese from the Tupi words pira, meaning fish, and sina, meaning tooth. The Guarani are indigenous to what is now Paraguay, and the Tupi are indigenous to what is now Brazil. The Inca, a South American Andean culture group whose empire arose in about AD 1000, gave the Spanish and eventually the English language many words from the Quechua or the Queca, their native language. In addition to the word kuka that became coca and kunter, from which condor is derived, English words adopted from Queca included guano, guaco, llama, pampa, puma, and quinine. This linguistic borrowing of words continued well after colonization had been accomplished. For example, the word mugwump comes from the Algonquin makwamp, which meant chief. Okay, so that's my one of my family language. So makwamp for my Algonquin relatives, it means chief. We need to remember that. The word became popularized in the 1884 U.S. presidential election after a prominent Republican left the party and refused to support James G. Blaine as a candidate for the U.S. presidency. The word has come to mean a person who acts independently, especially in politics. Sequoia trees, the giant redwoods of the Pacific coast, were named in honor of the Cherokee Sequoia, who by himself developed a written alphabet for his native language. In the 20th century, auto manufacturers used the name of North American Indian chiefs Pontiac and Cadillac. Names of tribes such as the Cherokee and the Dakota have been borrowed for vehicle models as well. Some other English words that have American Indian roots are bayou, catawba, chinook, hunk, hooch, hachi, hachi coochie, hubbub, hurricane, mescal, moose, muskellunge, papoose, peewee, pep, piraku or piraquet, podunk, potlatch, powwow, punk, raccoon, sachem, savannah, scuppernong, shack, shark, skunk, tamarack, totem, tapir, tomahawk, wampum, wapiti, woodchuck, and yankee. And then it says you can see also avocado, barbecue, canoe, carcass, cigars, chilies, chocolate, coca, curare, grapes, guacamole, hammocks, hickory, igloos, jerky, kayak, llamas, maracas, muklux or mukluks, persimmons, peyote, quinine, scoopernong, and tamale and tomatoes and wampum. So They saying we dedicated, if not thousands of words, to the English and Spanish language.
That's interesting right there, bro. But yeah, I'm gonna rock out to about 10 o'clock, man. I'm gonna take it down. I'm tired as hell.
That's
But real quick, I'm gonna touch on latex, and if you want to touch on League of Nations, American Indian influence you could touch on that. Well, I mean, not I just touch on that. We could finish it off with that. Um, so we got sign language, which we already just touched on. Latex rubber, that's 1000 BC. Mesoamerican, South American cultures. Latex is a term generally used to describe a milky fluid or juice that comes from the rubber tree. It's a that is native to part of Mesoamerica, South America, along the Amazon River. These trees are 30 to 60 feet tall. The sap produced by the trees are called cahar. I don't know. That shit like a time a little bit, but I say after the the quecha named for the tree is extremely sticky, and some considered it smelly and malodorous. It say the Olmecs of Mesoamerica, who culture flourished from about 700 BC, they say to about 400 BC, are credited with first producing rubber production from the sap, including the rubber balls used for the game of basketball. Ha ha! They say the Olmecs also produce other rubber and rubberized products that they use for trade goods. They became so identified with the rubber in ancient America, excuse me, y'all, in ancient Americas that they were referred to as the rubber people. They say the other tribes, the Olmecs, also made from the latex. No, they say by other tribes. I'm sorry, the Olmecs also made rubber from the latex of the sapodillo tree. Okay, let me read a little bit more. The Mayans learned to use the latex to make the rubbers and waterproof materials as well. It's in her book Mayan World. Elizabeth B. Benson states that the rubber tree produced by the Mayans with rubber from their balls, rainproofing for capes and material to be traded with the non-rubber producing highland. The Quechua contemporaries of the Inca, whose empire was established in what is now Peru, is about 1000 AD. No, Peru in about 1000 AD. Sorry, y'all. Let's say called this tree. There that word again. It's saying produce many rubber and rubberized products, including ropes, bottles. Indigenous people routinely harvest latex from what became known as the weeping tree. Usually, two collections would open a trail between about 100 miles and harvest sap from those trees each day. All right, so you heard it there first, man. We was cultivating rubber proofing stuff and everything, man. All right, so League of Nations, American Aboriginal influence. North American, Northeast culture, the principle of the Iroquois Constitution were used in the covenant of the League of Nations. This international peacekeeping assembly was organized in 1915 at the close. At the close of the world. At the close of World War One. Let me take this fucking gum out my mouth. Sorry about that. Close to World War One was the preceder of today's United Nations. The democratic principle of the league are based upon those contained in the U.S. Constitution, many of which in turn were directly influenced by the Iroquois Constitution. Several sections of the Iroquois Constitution are related to issues of peace and war among sovereign nations. The Iroquois Constitution was created sometime between 1000 AD and 1400 AD by Wada. It's a political state person established a formal method for resolving disputes and bringing harmony to warring Iroquois nations. Although the ultimate goal of the Iroquois Constitution was to keep peace, it included provisions for war after all peace attempts had failed and one nation has become hostile. Signatories to the covenant of the League of Nations agreed to open, just, and honorable relations between nations, and to maintain justice and scrupulous respect for all treaties, obligations, and dealing of organized people with one another. So, I mean, you already know, man, we made everything, man. You got lighthouses right here. Let me see this real quick. I'll touch on this real quick before we get out of here. So a lighthouse is a tall structure, bright light on the top to guide ships through treacherous waters. It's a filled with reefs and sharp rocks. The first lighthouse, the first lighthouse in pre-contact Mesoamerica was built by ancient Mayans. The Mayan culture arrived in the Yucatan Peninsula, of what is now Mexico, in about 1500 BC. The lighthouse is located in the ancient city of Toulon, located on the Yucatan Peninsula, a city so imposing that the first Spaniard to see it called it Castle. The Mayans lighthouse looked like a smaller version of the Mayan pyramid and was built on the hill near the beach. Researcher Mike Kramer, aided by the grant by a grant from the National Geographic Society, set out to discover how and why the lighthouse worked. On the face of the structure facing the ocean were several vertical rectangular slots. Kramer placed lanterns in the slots and discovered that the light only could be seen from the ocean, and more specifically, only from a natural opening in the dangerous reef off the shores. The lighthouse at the Toulon has a distinction of being the Mayan structure seen by the Spaniards. So there we have it. You see laundry detergent right here. You see laws, Iroquois Constitution. You already know that, drunkenness laws and all that. Laxatives. We was doing it all over here, man. So we got lobster traps, locker rooms, looms. Let me see what else we got. Yeah, all right. Well, next time we start, we'll be on M, and we're gonna keep it moving, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the brother Jaguar Olmec for coming through, man, helping me with this piece. He also was on the other video that we just did, touching about the general civil order, as well as the doomed devices and the doctrine of discovery. So definitely comment, like, subscribe to the brother Jaguar Olmec as well. Jack Olmec, you want to leave the people with something before we get out of here?
Yeah, man, sure, man. I just want to say I appreciate everybody too, man. I definitely appreciate you, big bro, man. I know, like I say, we doing it, and it may seem, a little dry, but if you can really just go back and just really listen to what we giving you, and put everything from prior videos that A1 done did and every other Aboriginal brother done did, y'all. We kind of, this video, these in videos with this encyclopedia is really for those who really and truly understand that we are the American Indian, also known as Aboriginal, who are the original inhabitants of the land. This is only to help give you your culture back, so you can have a point that you can connect to and link to. And we're making it very simple, because all you gotta do is pick what you like or pick what you want to know and dig deep into it, man. The sources are there. You know, if you want to holler at one of us, we can help you go further with some of the stuff. But a lot of this stuff we implement already in our everyday lives. The only thing I know we need to get more focused on is a healthy diet, getting into our natural sciences and farming, and really start treating one another with respect and honor, man. And that I'll just leave it with that, y'all.
Hey, look, check it out real quick before we move on, right? We're in M right now, right? So I guess this is Maniac. I'm gonna touch on this real quick. All right. So
Okay.
this is a plant, say, whose starch-filled root produce more calories per acre of land than any other food crops except sugarcane. It's for thousands of years it has been cultivated by indigenous people in what is now known as Mexico, Guatemala. Now, when we come back, we're gonna touch, but look. Look what the Indian look like, right? It say the drawing of the Mannock producing in the Caribbean depicts a century-old method. Now look at this motherfucker. This is a Negro. Now you got these idiots out here don't even know that this is an Iroquois. They just look. Anytime you see that head, that's a damn afro. You understand what I'm saying? Because if you got straight hair, your hair ain't gonna be sticking up like this, man. So with that being said, man, shout out to the brother Jaguar Olmec for coming through, man. We will be coming back probably sometime this week to get through M and to wherever through. Yeah, we got a lot of work to do in this because it's a lot going on. And at the end of it has the maps and everything. So you guys definitely want to see the maps. The maps got all of the different tribes in it, right? Just look, let me show y'all something real quick. Just so you guys know, they got the glossary at the end. You got the index. Let me see. Let me click this. Did you ever see the maps on here, Jack? Jack.
Yeah, I got into the maps, man. I need to go back and take notes on the maps, man, because I done seen so many, man. But
Bro, I'm gonna print this shit out right here. I go back to school, I'm printing this shit out because we get free paper in school and shit. I ain't got no 400 papers in my printer right here. I'm gonna print this whole thing out and put this shit in the binder. And shit, if I can print a couple, I'll print a couple of them out. But I need this for something. I mean that. I mean, even though I got it right here on this, I'll need a hard copy. But it showed you everything, man. And like, you know what I'm saying, people, you get a chance to go back, has everything, man. Like, I mean, hope people appreciate, man, because, you know, most of the time we could be doing anything, man. Like I said, I could be fucking thumb wrestling a damn goat, or, you know what I'm saying, or teaching my daughter how to do a 360, even though she don't play basketball. But that's just a joke. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, you know, you already know what it is. I'm trying to get to the maps, though. Let me see, the maps is kind of far out there. Just to show y'all. And they got the names of all the tribes, too. Like, they got entire tribe group and linguistic groups. See this? So this shows a lot. Got all of the tribes in it. Now see, look. Something like this. Arawak. Got the Arawak, different cultures. Yeah, this is definitely, man, epic dictionary, man. Like I said, definitely thank the brother AP as well as the brother Jaguar Olmec for bringing this to the light. And actually for narrating it, man, doing the research and doing the work on it, man. Cause he passed it to me, gave them brothers my word. I wasn't gonna do it without them. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, y'all know how that is. Let me see. All right, here we go. Here go the match right here. So let me see. All right, let me see what's this? Great Basin, Plateau, Great Plains. There we go, right here. Let me small it up a little bit.
That's it, man.
This half our area. We got the other half coming up.
That's me right there.
What
Catawba.
you got? Chickasaw. What'd you say? So which one?
Catawba.
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 Oh,
Yeah.
Catawba.
Catawba Sioux.
Catawba.
But I got, man, but really, man, I mean, once you do your lineage, man, like I done did pretty much like all sides of my family, man. I mean, it's like, man, you gonna find a little bit of everything in you, man, when you really do it. So
Right here. Just the second part.
Yeah, that's up there where you at right there now.
Sure, right here, Lenny Lenape. That's what we got. We got I'm in Jersey, so we got the Lenny Lenape right here. See Powhatans, you got the Shawnee.
The Susquehannock, they was part of the giant tribes. Shout out the Tomahawk tribe. He put that out on there, man. The Susquehannock, or the Susquehannock, whatever you want.
Said they was part of what?
Well, they was part of the giant tribe. Said they were known as giants.
You serious, man? Let me write that. Let me do some research on that shit, man. Let me write that down. Susquehannock, giant tribe.
I think they kind of they ended up being the Shawnee also, I think.
So you know what's interesting? Let me see something real quick. I'm gonna show you something.
And Seneca, the name, the title Seneca, man, it's a Seneca in South Carolina. It's an Oconee in South Carolina, and all of them are actual tribal names also, man. But we got actual cities named Seneca, Oconee. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you had Seneca Village too, and they tried to talk about them was Africans, them was motherfucking indigenous people who lived in, and they kicked them off, man. These devils kicked them off, kicked them out their own land, man. They gonna try to say, they made a park, they made Central Park out of the land that the Senecas was living in, man. These devils, man, they for real, man. These motherfuckers, they ain't nothing but a bunch of fucking thieves, man. The fuck you gonna kick the people off their own land, man, and build the fucking park so you can bring more devils to that damn park. I'm telling you, niggas killed the motherfuckers and pushed them off their own land, and then brought more devils over there so they can come and walk through their park. How the fuck you gonna take somebody home and make a fucking park for your amusement out of it?
Tell you, man, that's why I don't even be wanting to talk about all that, man.
That shit hurt. That's real shit, bro. And then, you know what I'm saying? And then they run around and, you know what I'm saying, all this other goofy shit. But yeah, at the end of the day, man, y'all download this video, man. I mean, download the PDF for this encyclopedia. I'm gonna put it inside the description, man. But it shows you all the different tribes right here. And this is our area right there, from northeast, southeast. You see it go the Mississippi River right here, Mississippi River. You see Illinois, all this Fox, all this right here. And like I said, man, it's a lot tobacco. So they had a tribe called Tobacco, man. You know, like you said, Seneca right here. You got the Abenaki. And man, these people are some thieves, man. Stole every fucking thing, everything, even the shit that, you know what I'm saying, steal a shirt off your back, man, if you let them this shit, man.
Word, man. After you try to get to them.
Oh, shit is ridiculous, man. Like, that nigga should be brought up on charges, man, and put and locked up forever, bro. A real talk, but you already know how it is, man. So like I said, man, this is part 4. We will be doing another part next week. Shout out to the Aborigines who came through. You know, I mean, like I said, man, definitely, you know, support your boy so we can get this documentary out. And keep learning, man. Don't keep on being, you know what I'm saying? Don't keep, this is class, man. We teaching right here, man. You understand? This is a class. So with that being said, man, I am the Thompson's one, it's the brother Jaguar Omek, and we out of here, man. Peace, man. Have a good one, peoples.
Peace. Peace.